Well, hello, dear listeners and dear viewers, and welcome to another episode of the Global Advocate Career Podcast. Today, we head back over to France to meet an individual who I definitely want you to meet. He is an entrepreneur, creative, digital media expert, producer, director, and so much more. I'd like to introduce you to Laurent Cappoen. Laurent, welcome to the Global Advocate Career Podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm very flattered to speak to you, Michelle, today. We talk, I live in Paris, as you know, so I'm very glad to take, all the time you need to speak with you in your podcast. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's the pleasure is mine, Laurent. You may hear me, dear listeners or viewers, call him Paul. I'll get to that in a minute. But thank you again, Laurent, for coming on the show. You're in Paris. What's the weather like over there?
It's not very good. We have a lot of rain and wind, and coming from England. Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah, we're gonna blame it over on the Brits. Sorry you got rain over here in Connecticut. It's sunny. It's lovely. It's a lovely fall day. Glad to be alive and healthy. Now, Laurent, tell us, where did you grow up?
I grew up in north of France, in a city called Lille. That's very north of France. It's at the Belgian border. Okay, so my name is a bit Belgian. All right, and I grew up there, with my brothers and sister. Nice family, very good place to live. Lille is a very nice place to go out, to meet people. It's quite open-minded, with different cultures, because we got Belgium, and very close we also have England. So it's a good place to be close from our neighbors. European neighbors.
Yeah, and it's also a very scenic city, right? It's very beautiful, and it's been the subject of a lot of artists, right? A lot of artists have used Lille as their background,
yeah,
right?
It's true. It's true, because you have this Flemish architecture. In New York City, very close from where you live, you'll also at the first steps of the city. So yes, the architecture is very nice. It's amazing, even for French people when they come from South, to discover the way we live. Mm-hmm. And as I told you, it's close from the part of sea we call the Manche. Mm-hmm. And the Manche is the sea between England and France in the north. And there's a special spirit there, Yeah. I frequently feel very close from Belgian people, same culture, and as well sometimes English people. There's not a lot of difference in some domains, in some parts of life. So I grew up there in Lille, and I was very happy. And then I made my part of my studies in Paris.
Okay.
And I stayed there. That's yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you ever study abroad anywhere? Did you go elsewhere to study, or was it just in Paris?
No, I did make my studies in Paris, mm-hmm. and I did travel quite a lot, in Europe, in the US, in Brazil. We're going to talk about this. I love to travel. I love to see how people live, and I love to talk with them. And as when I can, I love to. I was working into production, okay, right. And digital medias and so on. So I like to work in the countries where I go, because I can see real life, I can meet people when they work, when they eat, when they live, like in every day, which is very, very nice, because you know them very well.
That's right, and you're in it. You're in the culture, right?
Yes,
You're totally in the culture. It's a culture immersion. Yes. Now, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak English. I like to speak English. Of course, French. I got notions of German, but it's not very brilliant. And a bit of Portuguese, but it's not Brazilian Portuguese, but it's not very, I can understand quite well, and I speak a bit. That's I need to travel more and more in Brazil to be able, well, I did take lessons. I wanted to go further into the Brazilian culture. So I did learn a bit of Brazilian Portuguese. I say Brazilian Portuguese because it's not the same.
Difference. There's a difference.
Yes. When I did travel to Lisbon, I
Mhm.
was very glad to speak with people there. But I had a Brazilian accent, and they didn't want to speak to me, because they're not very keen on Brazilian people, the Portuguese people. Well, I like them; they're very nice. But it's a shame because I couldn't find my place to talk properly in Portugal.
Yeah, it's a complicated relationship, the Portuguese and the Brazilians. We're going to talk about our common love for Brazil. Now, for our viewers and listeners, online, there's tons of online radio apps, and I just really wanted to find a station that had bossa nova, MPB, música popular brasileira, and couldn't find it. Came across I Love Rio, Paul in Rio, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I've been listening to it for about, I think, a few years now. And
thank you.
Yes, fell in love with your radio station, and you have several. Okay, Laurent, how did this come about? Tell us what made you create these beautiful radio stations.
Yeah, I got knowledge in radio when I was younger, when I was 17, so I'm 57. So you see, that's 4 years ago. That's a nightmare when I speak about this. We had something nice in France because we had a new president at that time, François Mitterrand.
Right.
A different time in France. It was, and he wanted at that time to modernize the medias in France. And so he did he gave licenses to broadcast to many people to make radio. And then when I was 17, I was already a DJ in my, in my life, to go to party and so on. And I loved music already. So I could start at in a radio close from my house, which became quite famous in my region. And so I could start learning by myself how to make the radio, and that became a real passion. I love this media. That's something very nice. That's a bit why I did put the background black to talk to you, because it's a voice atmosphere, and in the radio it's a theater. Okay, it's and I shouldn't show my face because in the radio just talk. We do it's not very good when you see people. You don't need to see them. All right. So I had this passion about, and then in the digital industries, when I did work into this, I always in my life put sound somewhere, everywhere I go. In each company, I had a studio and digital, always. And music has always taken a big part of my, thinking and the way I wanted to evolve into the digital industries. And so I know how to do, all right? So my other passion when I did Meet Brazil, quite young, just, crossing people that talked to me about Brazil.
Yeah.
And it was quite fascinating. But at that time, my real fascination was the US, which is still true today. That's a country that I love.
Right.
And I fell in love with Brazil. So when I made the radio, it was not that difficult. And why did I make it? Because I was looking on the web for Brazilian radios, and I couldn't find the music I wanted. Maybe that's the same music that I was looking for, the same as you did, all right?
Yes.
Or as you do. Because in Brazil, people, radios and medias, they don't play the music the same way.
No.
If you go to big stations, they're going to mix American music, Brazilian music, but it's big radios, it's always more American than Brazilian. And I thought to myself, it's unbelievable. It's good. Of course, American music is great. Yes, but you're Brazilian, so why don't you put more Brazilian music? So, and when they go on Brazilian music, more little stations, they play, some typical music, which is very regional. And sometimes it's boring because it's a bit when you travel in the US, and when you're in the middle of the US, you only got country.
You only have country or specific kind of music, yeah.
So I like country. It's nice when I travel in the US. It's nice, but the American music is not only country. Country is important, but You got soul music, you got plenty of very rich music, much more rich probably than the country music. Sorry for the country lovers, but
No,
it's
yeah,
true.
it's true.
Okay, so that's why I decided, and I had a lot of records, and the way to get records and to get good stuff about Brazil, and then professionally, that's about 15 years ago, I had the opportunity to travel to Brazil, which
Okay.
and I made a lot of travels there, a lot, let's say 10, 12 travels.
Yes.
And as I was trying to work there, I had the luck to stay there for, let's say, 3 weeks. So it's quite long. You have time to go deeper into what you want to discover.
Yes.
And with my friend, because I tried to at the time of my life, to create a business in Brazil, with my friend stayed there. And so we were traveling and discovering Rio de Janeiro together, and he was staying there. So the next year I could stay longer with him, and we were going into very special places that I couldn't find without him. It was impossible.
Like
and I went
places?
into
Like what places?
in Rio years ago. You could go in very funny places about music. You could buy music, records.
Yes.
They said music in kilo. So you were buying records, the number of kilograms you were buying.
Incredible.
Okay? So let's buy 20 kilos. So you have this size of, of records.
Man.
And then you come back to your place and you start with the vinyl and so on. You start to listen to the music. And then you see great stuff, because what is very important is that the industry of music in Brazil, it's like in the US. It's huge. It's a huge industry.
Massive.
So yeah, they have plenty of records from the beginning of recordings until today. They were a bit late into digitalization about the music, but now it's done, and you can find, in those platforms like Spotify and so on, great stuff. It's unbelievable.
You can, Laurent. And there was actually a millionaire, a guy in Brazil, I forget his name right now, who collected a lot of records.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have heard of him. And
no.
And millions and millions of records, because he didn't want them to be destroyed. I'm gonna get you the name of it. But
that's very interesting. This
it is very interesting.
The aim of it was to put music on, because as I knew to put it on the radio, I thought to myself, well, nobody plays this music, okay, that we love. And well, they do, but it's not enough, or it's not. And the way we program music in Europe or in the US is sometimes, when you go to good radios in big cities and so on, people, they mix everything.
Yes.
And they bring a sound playing everything. So that's what I tried to do with this station. The idea was to play everything. So, as you said, MPB, música popular brasileira, soul carioca, samba, carioca funk, which is a very special music, but sometimes it's very good. Jazz, and then you play regional music. Maybe we will talk about this. I like a particular music in Brazil as well, except in all what happens in Rio. It's in Recife.
Tell us what's your favorite? I mean, it may be a little unfair, but what is your favorite genre?
MPB. I think that's the basics. Yes. So it comes from Tropicalism. Okay, that's the 60s. So you got, of course, you got the big dinosaurs, but you have to go through them. So, of course, Caetano Veloso, Maria Bethânia, Gal Costa, Tomé, plenty of. Then you got classic ones. You got, if you like a bit the funky style. I love the funky music in the US. So the funky style, you must know George Ben, of course. That's one of the basics. So you need to go through this, and then you will find progressively worlds. That's when I think about this music. So,
Yes.
and then rock and roll is very good. Hard rock is great.
Heavy metal, Brazilian reggae. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so many different.
yes, exactly. So the idea was to mix all this like this, just because we like it, uh, and trying not to, when you make radio stations and you getting pro people, they say, oh yes, but I want this kind of music plus this, okay, and you're gonna play this and this, and they don't know, because, and it's very funny because the big stations, they're not very good in digital radios, okay, and web radios. Web radios has been done by other people. They are alternative radios. So sometimes in the audience we have little radios, it's much better than big radios,
Why?
because
Why?
because they were regional.
I see.
Regional, so the audience doesn't fit with what you can do. It's easier to be done in the digital, because
Yeah.
in digital, when you love as we do this kind of music like Brazilian music,
Yeah.
okay, you got the US, you get the Japan, you get the Brazil, you get Germany, you get Italy, you get England, you get France, you get everywhere, and the addition of all this is huge, much use than
So-
original audience.
So then let's talk a little bit about the business of having radio stations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do you find that this is definitely more lucrative than the traditional radio station format that you're familiar with?
No, it's very difficult to be lucrative. It is not today. So every month I pay, the hosting, the technical stuff I need to make this, but I do it because it's like a voice, when you're a media, you have a rendezvous with people, and the day you forget this, you're dead. Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, so you need to be there. You need I don't make any, because I do it myself today. Okay. I do everything.
Everything.
So
All the different radio stations, because you have several different radio stations, and you also just launched a video
a TV, yes.
TV.
With yes, the TV, it's easy because it's a technology that I develop in a company. So I try to mix both of them. So, but it's time now for those radios to be monetized. Yes. So, but it's a real question. And if people, they want to try some web radios or some web TVs and so on, they have to. But what they need to know, where it's complicated, on one aspect, you go on big platforms. Okay, you go to YouTube.
Right.
And everyone is going to tell you, oh, YouTube is fantastic. That you got those influencers. I said YouTube.
And you see,
and it's awful. I'm very afraid about
I tell you, oh my goodness, that's
I'm
Alexa. Is that Alexa listening in our conversations?
No, it's just it's my. I know
Siri. Siri.
No, it's not Siri. It's a Chinese mobile phone, but I'm sure they do spy us. Sure this. Well, well. So monetization is a key, but it's complicated because you need to have a good audience. If you put advertising and you play anything, well, you like Pauline Rio, for example.
Right.
Thanks again. That's nice to talk to a nice listener like you. You like it. What about if I play, advertising for a supermarket, for, and you're going to get this ad, and I'm going to play, let's say, twice 2 minutes advertising per hour, and you got friends for dinner or a nice evening and so on, you're going to change.
You're right.
Sure. You will say, no, it doesn't fit with what he plays. So that doesn't work. So you very frequently think about doing this, but it doesn't work. So you will lose many of your listeners. So you need to find a special way to tune it up, very, very, preciously. And that's when we're going to start, okay, by let's say it's a kind of a subscription, but it's a voluntary subscription. It's like a tipping.
Right.
Okay, help it. Give me $1 a month. Give me 50 cents a month. Give me nothing but subscribe.
So, but I will say that.
Okay, subscribe. Let me say, yeah, but that's your problem as well. But that's the same problem for the whole industry. On the other way, if you take big radios, they play advertising, in their area regionally. Even if they're national, they always come back to the next door.
That's right. That's exactly
because
right.
they can sell you, what we were shops or what we buy and so on. It's easy. They say to people, if you need this, you go there, and it still works, but it's much more difficult for them than before. They don't make the money they used to make before. So let's say they're getting nervous, because they need to stay on the market.
Right.
But they don't make that money because the price of advertising has been going down.
Sure.
And as well because digital music and web radios, but as well your music platform, that can be Apple Music, that can be Spotify, that can be Deezer, that can be plenty of stuff. And people, they listen to this and they don't listen to the radio anymore because they can listen to play their music and so on. So they don't play advertising. They ask people to subscribe. Okay. And they ask a good price, but it's true. When you can listen to, let's say, 50 million records in one place, it's nice. Yes. And even $10 a month, it's not expensive. Let's remember when we were buying CDs and so on, the fortune we were paying every month. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Right. That's exactly right.
So maybe, the strategy is going to be this way because we have no other choice. So
let me ask you this, Laurent. Let me ask you this real question. You created ScreenTV.
Yeah.
Tell us about why you created ScreenTV. How did it come about?
Okay, so ScreenTV is totally different. It's not a channel. It's a platform, okay, where you can become your own media. So as I've been working in the radio industries, digital industries, and as well in the TV industry, working for little channels, being a producer, being an artistic director or digital director for those clients, I've been learning the way to make TV. Okay, how does it work? How do we play? How to make programs? How to program the videos and so on, how to broadcast those videos, how to stream those videos and so on. So we made this platform when we saw, it's a long time ago already, the first move of Google to run on TV.
Okay.
And we understood that, of course, that's the whole story of my generation, and you're following. But because we see from the beginning everything becoming digital.
Yes.
So InScreen is simple. It's create your own TV channel. It's going to take you 5 minutes, and you have a TV made of clips, a musical TV, as well as a professional one. But it's made for everyone. It's easy to do because there's nothing difficult into doing this. The only difficulty is to find content. So you need to curate content, or you need to, and you know much more about this, produce content. And producing content is difficult because it's expensive. Okay, you need to have cameras, or you need to have a team, and of course when it's online. But it's well evolving because with all what we have to do today, I think. Well, I don't think, I see, as we all see, that the production of video is the same, moving the same way as in music in the 90s when we had the home studio production. Before we were having huge studios, it was costing fortunes to go there, and it was great places, of course. But that was very expensive, and it moves with the technology, smartphones and so on, and as well at that time computers and so on, to home music studios. And today we have home video studios. We have this, which is the mobile phone we all have one. And the camera that we have into our mobile phones is
That's
great.
right. It is
So
great.
it is great. So we can make plenty of things. We have computers to make things with it. We have everything. So it's going this way. And the content industry is just giant. This is why YouTube is doing so well.
Yes.
Because the content is arriving from everywhere.
From everywhere.
As it's not rivers, it's seas.
Yes, it's enormous. So is that why you created your video channel for video?
Yes, we build it with InScreen, and the aim of InScreen is a bit the same story of those radios. When I was young, it's to be able to bring people the way to talk or to show what they want easily for a little price, because you don't need to be a gigantic holding to be a media. It's wrong. So the industry is going this way, little channel communities, little audiences, and when they will find a way to monetize, tipping is working well, they will be able to grow and to become medias, but that will stay at a humble place, size, which is nice. So because they don't need to become, world companies.
Right. So you're appealing to small businesses or small individuals who are looking to break out. Like, tell us who your ideal client is.
For InScreen, it's not only small. That can be huge. That can be big companies, but they're not ready yet because they think they know everything. TV guys, they're specials. They know everything. Okay. But they're dying, It's very. Why do they die? Because of this, and because of our Netflix, our VOD platform. But Netflix 5 years ago. Well, not zero, but not that much.
And now,
and in a few years, it became crazy. So it's another way to get the video. It's another way to get the TV. It's another way to get the live programs that we have, sports, news, and so on. So everything has been different. Yes, and what happened in the world with the COVID, that we have all traveled, has been amplifying the idea that we can do things on our own. We can get the medias that we want when we want. And well, but those medias are funny because as you watch the video on SVOD platforms,
right?
They're doing again linear programs, but in another way.
Sure,
because people they want to watch. Yeah, it's very funny. So it's like a stream for the radio. Same stuff.
The same thing. So let me ask you this: creatively during the pandemic, how did it affect you? Did you find yourself being more creative during this time, or what I mean by the pandemic, during the last year, the beginning of it, because we're still in it.
But to be true, on the production company side, which was a part of my revenue to live, it comes from a certain number that was pretty good for the year to zero.
Wow.
Because everything stops. So you're not able to make any video because people, they're scared. They're not allowed to meet. They're not allowed to go together. So how do you want to make a movie of something? It's impossible. So everything stopped about this. But we went through writing big plans, projects and so on. So that's where we went at that time, let's say a year and a half ago. For Pauline Rio, it was pretty clever because I had to move. Sometimes technology, when you make everything into platforms,
sure,
you have to change. I used to have a hosting of servers in Toronto, Canada, because I know a bit Canada, and I found nice guys years ago there. And they were not responding anymore.
Really?
So yes, and they got all your audience. So you tell to yourself, my God, what's going to happen? They don't answer. That makes a year I'm writing. So I had to move all the radios. So that's what I did. And for this, you need a few months to make it properly, because we play 10,000 musics in Pauline Rio and the other stations titles. So it's huge.
It is big. It is big. So your your servers, all of that is in-house now. All of your information, your
everything is secured. It's nice. I did find another provider, and which enables more the way to monetize. So that's very important. So, okay, you have to move slowly, but that's what I can share with people, as I like the radio media or the Brazilian music, and both of them, of course, it's good to give advice to people and to share our experiences to see where we go.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's always the same, you have, and people who are watching your program, they want to speak, they want to show things, and they need tools to make it.
That's right.
And it's not always, it's nice to use free platforms about this, but sometimes it's better to pay a bit and to be your own media and to decide the way you want to monetize.
Yes, yes.
Because YouTube will not bring you the revenue that you're expecting. If you're a huge influencer, people would say, "Oh, watch this person. He became very rich." How many people? On billions. How many?
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. It may take a little bit more work, but as you grow and in controlling your brand, you may want to consider having your own platform. Let me get your thoughts on social media, right? Because from when you started in the industry to now, social media has made a significant impact in the entertainment business, in the media business. Are you yourself active in social media?
No, not enough. That's a shame. I know about this. So our goal, if we monetize, my goal is to, well, I would like to share as well. So my goal is to hire one or two young people, okay, around me, to discuss about music, of course, to make choices, to make selections, to build programs, but to go on social networks. I know the social networks. I'm not, I'm not ignorant about this, not at all. But I don't work on them enough, and it needs to be done very frequently. Professionally, I work on LinkedIn, but that's the platform, the only one where I do stuff around this. I did stop Facebook, but I should not, Instagram and so on. So I have to come back there and to be very proactive. But what is funny for the audience of the radios, it could be better, but it could be much worse,
Yes.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. The organic audience is very good. On an American platform, TuneIn, which is an American platform, very nice.
Sure.
We have, 25,000 subscribers. So it's not subscribers, but people that did I Love This Radio. So, and we didn't say nothing.
So there you go. It's a fickle business, but I think your platform appeals, like you mentioned earlier, to so many that, and also your different radio stations appeal, right? So you've got one bossa nova, one MPB, right? And so so where do most of your listeners come from?
It's very interesting, this. They come from people knowledge in the world. It's very interesting. So they go first to bossa nova, which is the main audience. Sometimes I'm a bit worried about this because we have two other stations. Pauline Rio is more samba, hot carioca, soul, and so on. It's nice. And it's not it's famous, but it's not the audience of bossa nova. Why? It's very interesting, this. Because I think mostly that bossa nova is an easy listening music, It's quiet, you play. So I try to make it more like bossa nova. I try to play it sweet, so we could bring Brazilian soul music sweet or jazz sweet. It has to be sweet. It's a bit. I wouldn't say girly, but it has to be
Sure.
more the
It's
kind of what women like,
right.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the main. But why? Because they know the word bossa nova. You know this. When you say in Europe, for example, or in the US, when you say samba, people they think salsa. They don't know.
Really?
Well, frequently, and they make a mix. They really don't know. So okay, salsa. Well, it's not salsa. It's different. Okay, you need to and when they know Brazilian, they know what samba is.
That's right.
So some words are easier than others, and we need to teach them. All the Brazilian music lovers, all that, as we were talking at the beginning of the show, and you're very aware on this, all the kinds of music that you can find in this gigantic country. There's a lot of, it's quite similar, USA and Brazil,
Yeah.
huge countries.
Sure. And there are,
people.
yeah. I mean,
yes.
I grew up, the first genre that I grew up listening to was bossa nova. My mother bought an album, João Carlos Jobim's, his album Passarim. And that's how I realized that Brazil, Rio existed. I was like about 7 years old, and I was listening to this, and I said, I have to go to Rio. What was the first artist or album that you listened to in Brazilian Portuguese that made you realize, yeah, this is it. This is it.
It's a long time ago. I think my first real contact is a song from George Ben.
Okay. Now there's George Ben. Now there's George Ben George, and then there's George Ben.
Yeah, it's Jorge Ben, the Brazilian guy. Okay. Yeah, it's true. He had to change his name. His first name was Jorge Ben, and because of George Benson in the US, he had to call George Ben Jr. George.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the reason why he changed his name. So sorry,
really?
I was talking about the Brazilian guy, and I love the George Benson American as well.
Love
of
him.
course,
we love him.
of course,
of course,
of course. So, and it was a song called. Well, it's a good question because I didn't think about this one. It was Ay Ay Caramba.
Ay Ay Caramba.
And to me, that sounds like, I don't know why, it always did this to me, Brazil. It's like an adventure to me. Sure. Brazil is an adventure. Yes. And this song was like, I was, maybe I was 10, I don't know, or 12. And I was not listening that kind of music mostly. But this song, when I listened to it, I was thinking I was, in a huge lands and discovering stuff, traveling. It was great. And it's still the image I got of Brazil. Mm-hmm. It's so huge that I always want to discover something. Yes. And then I got plenty of stories, as you must have also about Brazil. But Brazil is this feeling, I was talking with a Brazilian drawer. He makes comics and so on. He's very famous. He works in France. His name is Leo, and this guy is very, very known, famous. And we had a conversation together about a question about because he's making comics about worlds. Science, it's science fictions, and he speaks about communities that travel in space to discover new worlds.
Wow, deep.
And he describes always the world where they go by drawing animals we don't know, vegetables we don't know, the worlds that we discover. It's very, very interesting. And this guy is Brazilian. He had to go years ago when it was a dictator in Brazil and so on. It was not a good place for him, so he had to move. But we have this question with him, and it's a very carioca question. It's what was the feeling of the first guy arriving in boat? And who was it? I can talk to you about this because I got some answers when he saw for the first time the Bay of Guanabara.
Oh,
What was the feeling? And I remember, it's a real question. I got, skinny stuff when I think about this. Because in Rio, when I made my first travel, we went into art galleries with my friend. And it was a huge piece of art, and the guy was drawing the Bay of Guanabara, wild. It was raining. You can see it rains. You see a little light on the,
on the outlet, yes,
the
right.
mountains
Yes.
outline,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the light. You see the rain in the sea, and it's very quiet. And you see all this, and you don't know what it is because you don't know who lives there. What's going to happen? You see nothing, no sign. Wow. So to me, that's Brazil. But that was the same feeling for American people. Take it back.
Really?
Same.
Really?
Yeah, when they had to cross the US.
But it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, going to Rio for the first time, I remember visiting right near the Guanabara Bay, Praça 15. They used to have a fair, antiques fair.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was one of my earliest memories of going. Gosh,
Okay.
when was the last time you went back to Brazil?
Oh, that's 5 years ago. So I need to travel. I need to, yes, fresh air, that's, I love to be there. I just love to be there. Being in Rio is, well, I must say it's not always very cool because tensions in Rio. You got tensions about security and so on. So when you're traveling a bit everywhere, because my friend there who lived there had a motorbike, so we were going in many parts of the city. So you always, watching.
You have to be very alert.
You have a third eye, a third eye just behind you. So it's always a bit tension. But on the other aspect, it's so cool to see this Mata Atlantica, the forest.
Yes.
That is on the ocean and the city. Oh,
it's breathtaking.
Yes.
So
I dream to go there, and I dream to travel inside Brazil. So I did some travels inside Brazil, but not very far, south mainly. Mm-hmm. I've been working a bit in São Paulo at a time, in Rio, and then around Rio, Petropolis, Teresópolis, Búzios, which is a great place to enjoy a weekend or the sea and so on. And then south, I went to spend some time in Floripa, Florianopolis.
Okay, Florianopolis.
Which is a great place, which is becoming, it's a kind of paradise, and it's becoming the great digital place for a lot of companies. It's
really in Florianopolis. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very digital place in Brazil, and a lot of American, Canadian companies, European companies. They have many people there working for them, making developments and so on, the IT. And it's a very brilliant place. That was the place where Gisele Bündchen come from.
Yes,
the American lady now. Okay.
Yes, so that's right. That's right. Does your family share the same love that you have for Brazil?
Yes, but I didn't bring my family in Brazil, never. So that's a travel I have to do.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with my sons, because when we talk about this, I feel that I need to bring them.
Yes, I've taken that.
There's a lack of what I have to do. So yes, I know.
Yeah, I mean, and so what about French music though? First of all, I do appreciate you playing French artists who sing in Brazilian Portuguese.
Yes, we have.
And I love it.
Yes, it's true. We have some. Sometimes we have also a funny production. Yes, we like to play this. We had well, in the 60s, 70s in France, Brazil was an important place for the French artist. Well, to be true, Paris is France is significant for Brazilian people. They like France. They like to be in Paris. It's like a dream for them. It's and we have quite a good community, same as in New York City, let's say. But US is a big place for Brazilian people. I think there are around 2 million in the US. It's
Yes.
huge.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
And we have these relationships, and then we had some historical links with Brazil, because the first expedition in Brazil was French.
That's right. And
Yes,
also the
yes.
first, how can I say, the individual to fly a plane had a French Santos Dumont, which a lot of people don't know about.
It's true. But the French, yes, in the 16th century, the first expedition official, because we had some non-official expeditions, people on the shore in Le Havre, in Normandy, okay, they were going to Brazil, and they were already, before this date, probably 1 century before, starting to build places to bring back some, some products, and probably in other countries as well, and of course for Portuguese people as well. But they were not the only one. It was, and they did succeed into keeping Brazil in their secrets. It's that's, so we have these relationships, and also on the Latin way to think about things. So it's doing well. We like them. It's when we go to Brazil, we of course we in another country it's very different, but the way to think, well, it's not so far that the way we can think in France.
That's exactly right, Laurent. It's that joie de vivre, right? It's that joie de vivre, right? That Brazilians and French have about life and approaching it, which I think is reflected in the music, right?
Yes.
So, okay. So I have some questions for you.
Yeah.
It's in my podcast. There's some questions called Wait, What? And it's where I ask some interesting questions, hoping to get some interesting responses. You ready?
Yeah. I'm trying to be.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay.
You're so serious, so I need to concentrate.
True or false? Elvis Presley ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with bacon all the time. Is that true or is that false?
I don't know if it's maybe he could.
You're right. It is true. Apparently, he ate them all the time, which is what contributed to his ill health in later years. Yeah, you can't eat peanut butter and jelly and bacon every day, but
yeah, but it's very good.
I eat peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. I've had bacon. I've never put them together.
Around with food, there are a lot of sins that you can make in the US, because it's rich food, huge food, but it's good.
It is delicious.
Of course. So, but those restaurants in England, Greasy Spoons, where you can.
That's right, those greasy spoons.
Yeah. So my first move already when I go in the US is to go in a dinner place to eat that kind of stuff. Oh yes, first day only.
You have to. You have to.
But it's a pleasure. It's very good.
It's right. Like, and what do you eat? What do you eat, Laurent?
I eat French food mainly, more and more vegetables and fruits. I'm moving on the other side, but like everyone, I think we all in France eat less and less meat. We eat everything, but less excess. And I need to be careful, because after the COVID period, I need to control my weight.
Yes.
I like to make some sports and so on. So I need to, I need to work on this.
Yes. While enjoying life. While enjoying life. Okay, here's my next question. According to a recent poll on radicalstorage.com, travelers consider Paris to be the most overrated city? If you didn't live in Paris, where would you live?
In New York City or in Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, that's hands down.
Honestly, I've been living in Montreal, which is very nice in Canada, 2 years. During 2 years, I loved it because I like Montreal. It's nice, it's cool.
It's a beautiful city.
And New York City is one of my good place. I would probably not be in the higher parts of the city. I would be where was before Lower East Side and so on. I love this place, New York. It's cool. Yes, I love it. Yeah, well, that's a beautiful city.
Excuse me, it is a beautiful city
with very great people.
Yes, and when you come to New York City, dinner on us. Count on that. Count on that, Laurent. Count on that.
As well, if you come to Paris.
I'll hold you to it. I'll hold you to it.
And if one day you fly to Rio, let me know. We can meet in Rio.
We'll meet in Rio. Yes, absolutely. You can bet your bottom dollar on that one. Next question. Do you prefer French fries or Belgian fries?
Belgian fries, of course.
Why?
Because well, I was living close from the border. Very good question. You did a tap, probably the question too. Okay, I prefer Belgian fries because the way they cook it, the way it's cooked is different. Because they have a different way to cook it. They cook it in 3 times. And the product, the fat that they use to make it is different. And the fat they use is, it's a very good question because it's very important, this. The fat they use involves that they can get higher in temperature. They could go to 400 degrees, okay? So the fry is perfect. And the best French fries, as we say, everywhere I've ever eaten are always Belgium, of course.
Next question.
So if you go one day to Belgium, the first thing you have to do is to go in a little, car, on the side of the street, on the road, that sells French fries. And oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But
now
you don't do this every day. Once. It's like the food we were talking about, really.
Next question. Do you prefer pate or foie gras or mousse?
The best is foie gras, of course. Foie gras is wonderful. Pate can be very nice. Can be very authentic, regional, all this. Foie gras is just great. So you got different kinds of foie gras. But the one I prefer is the simplest, the less expensive. It's made with duck livers.
Oh, yummy.
This is
sorry for all the duck lovers out there. Sorry, but
sorry, because it's not very good. But the way it's done is so we mainly eat foie gras in France, in families and so on, mostly at Christmas time. This is for dinners and so on. It's very famous, and well, that's mainly the period where we used to eat this. Or if you go in southwest around Bordeaux and southern, this is the region where you eat duck every day. So you make confit de canard. It's very good.
Love
confit. And confit is great. So that's the place where they make confit. So if they have ducks, they make livers and confit and all what you can think about the duck, and it's very, very good.
All right, I'm getting hungrier. I don't know about you.
And I give you just a quote. They make duck foie gras in Brazil. They have places where they know how to make it, and there's not a big production, and it's very discussed by the population because it's an aggression to the animal, of course, but they have.
Laurent, there's a big we watch Brazilian TV here at our house all the time, and there's a cooking competition, and the gentleman is French. His name is
Trago.
Yes,
I know him.
You know him. Okay, is he
Yeah.
as famous in France as he is in Brazil?
He's not very famous in France, but his father is one of the biggest chefs we ever had in France.
Really?
Okay? And he's the son, and he's very nice. And he did travel everywhere in Brazil to cook with people. He's very, very. So I went to one of his restaurants in Rio. He had a restaurant before. And this is where I did eat some Brazilian foie gras.
Oh, okay.
Because they had sandwiches.
Oh man, did you meet him?
My friend in Brazil, he knows him, so I met him once. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, next question. We could talk forever, right?
I think it's Olivier.
Olivier.
The guy.
Okay.
His first name.
Olivier. Yes. Right. Okay. Next question. Who is your favorite rap artist?
In France or in Brazil?
Good question. France.
Marcelo D2 in Rio de Janeiro is very good. And you got Gabriel Opensador.
Gabriel
Opensador.
The
thinker. Okay. Yes. And I prefer Marcelo D2 because he's more authentic. It's a real rapper. In France, yes, we had NTM. NTM.
NTM, got it.
NTM was yes. NTM was the French rap, one of the French very famous rap group. Very good. We have a very good rap in France.
Yes, you do.
It's very famous.
You do. I love it. I don't understand a lot of it, but my French is a little rusty. But
I can tell you something. I was in New York City in '83. I was 20, just a young 20.
Wow.
19, okay? I was one of the last French guy dancing to Studio 54.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I was very young. So I was watching this. Well, to me, it was this is why I already told you I wanted to stay in New York City.
Of course.
To me, that was a paradise. I went there many times. Summer. I spent every night of the summer. I did stay for months in New York City. And I remember we were going there almost every night.
Is that where you created that disco? You had a disco channel, right?
Yeah, I made a disco. And I was I'm very keen on disco.
Me too.
And funky music because of this. And I tell you something else. When I went to the US at that time, I was before traveling around the US. So I made the whole circle around, making it shaking and driving cars for a drive-away company because I had family in New York City and my uncle had a company like this. So we had to travel a car. Wonderful stories about it. I love your country.
My goodness. Laurent, if you create a channel for disco, I don't think I would be able to work.
But we did make a TV channel with disco. That was only disco with archives, of many movies.
Oh, fantastic.
Saturday Night Fever, Thanks God It's Friday, all this stuff and many stuff. And all the clips. It was great. And we were wondering to make it all a permanent way and making it evolving funky with a bit, funk, soul, all this. I mean, it's a world.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. First music. Yeah.
Bring it back, Laurent. I wouldn't steer you wrong. Bring it back. I'm being selfish too. Next question.
Yeah.
On a plane, do you prefer the seat or the aisle? Excuse me, the window or the aisle?
Window.
What's the first? Always. Okay. What's the first thing you do in the morning?
The first thing I do in the morning, I'm taking my weight.
You check your weight in the first thing?
Yeah, because that's the moment. Well, I just, I get dressed, okay,
Yes.
and before I take my weight, and of course I have breakfast. Because if I take my weight after breakfast, it's severe.
What's
It's true.
it is true. We don't have a scale in our house. I don't like scales. Next question.
Sorry, yes.
What is the last thing you do at night?
I'm reading.
Reading. Okay.
Yes, on a tablet, and mainly, I'm fond of this. So, and I don't need to read a lot because I get to sleep very fastly. So it's 4 pages and book.
That's it. Then you're knocked out. Next question. Have you ever played the lottery?
Yeah,
Have you won?
never. Well, little amounts,
Yeah.
10 euros, 2 euros. Yeah, never.
Are you?
I would have 100 Brazilian radio stations from Rio de Janeiro if I had already won to the lottery.
Yeah, right. Seriously. What's your least favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Okay. And
Yeah.
my last question is, what scares you the most? Snakes on a plane or germs on a plane?
Germs.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't see them, but they're around, right?
It's true. Frequently going back from Brazil in the plane, they make they go and they put smoke everywhere, to kill mosquitoes, and Africa as well. When you travel to Africa, it's always like this.
It is always like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, insects, not germs, but insects, stuff like this. You're always afraid of this because it's, they can be big and so on. So that's special. But at the same time, that's the part of the adventure.
That's right. Living on the edge, right, Laurent? Living on the edge. Laurent, I mean, we're probably definitely going to have you back, but I just want to say has been such a pleasure to get to know you, to hear your opinion on the digital world that we're living in now. I'm so happy that you created your radio stations. I encourage all my listeners and viewers to tune in to. We'll put it in the information on my posts when I promote this interview. And Laurent, I just want to say it's such a pleasure, and I know we're going to meet in person in the near future.
Yes.
Sure.
I will probably stay, in contact, and we try to speak and to meet each other.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing this production and all this, because that's a spontaneous way to meet and to link together. That's very good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It is shared. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Don't hang up. Dear listeners, dear viewers, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your feedback. Until next time.